The Big Easy, NOLA, or Hollywood South. Whatever you may call it, the bohemian aura of New Orleans, Louisiana is still forming our cultural impression of that colorful part of the world nourished by the Mississippi. But lately, an oil spill and two initials have come into play, putting the city under a certain kind of grim, and not the marketable voodoo grim. On a breezy afternoon, a living statue coated in golden paint performing at the French Quarter points at a pigeon in the street.
The pigeon had no feet, right? It's like this. Like this, with a pigeon how it walks, look at this pigeon. Look at the pigeon. Nah, no Pedro. And that's naturally New Orleans.
According to a recent Gallup poll, 59% of respondents believe that some wildlife is irreparably damaged. 79% of people believe that food prices would increase, and that might be a problem for a state in which restaurants were projected to generate $4.9 billion in sales. That is, before the spill.
It's still really too early to tell. It's going to be years and years before we ever figure out exactly what the full extent of the damage is. There's been areas that you're not allowed to fish in because of the oil spill. Fishing as a whole is probably going to take a pretty big hit this year economically. It's just going to be a big problem for years to come, and because of all the different things like the oil, which is being submerged by the dispersants and sort of getting into the water supply and not just staying on the surface.
New Orleans alone contains 20% of the restaurants in all of the 7 districts, making it both the highest in facilities and employment levels. For locals, New Orleans is food.
Alligator cheesecake. Alligator cheesecake. It's Jacquemus right there.
Crawfish. Shrimp and oysters.
Crawfish etouffee.
The muffalados. You gotta go for the muffalado and beignets. The crab's good. The crab's great.
Gumbo. Catfish.
We like oysters.
According to the Aquatic and Agricultural Annual Book of 2007, the U.S. ranks 4th among sea life capture, with nearly 4.8 million tons. But how does Louisiana contribute?
Seafood is very important to Louisiana. Crawfish, which is a freshwater species, is not affected by the oil spill, and 90% of crawfish from the United States comes from the Gulf of Mexico and Louisiana. About 70% of the oysters caught in the U.S. are from the Gulf Coast. Each year, Louisiana shrimpers catch 90 to 120 million pounds of both brown and white shrimp. And crab meat is also very important to Louisiana. Chances are, if you're on the East Coast and you're eating crab, it's coming from the Gulf Coast and Louisiana. So these are just some examples about how vital and important seafood is, not only to the Louisiana economy, but also to the economy of the United States. Because a lot of the seafood that you eat, you may think it's coming from somewhere else, when in actuality, it most probably is coming from the Gulf Coast.
Many locals have viewed the oil spill as cultural slaughter, leaking into their lifestyles, their cooking pots, and their forever changed perceptions.
Well, shrimp is that. The shrimp is. Now, so far the oysters is kind of, I guess they're not spawning like they should. And it's just kind of unsure about the oyster, you know?
No oil. No oil.
It was probably imported.
Within the 2 months that followed the oil spill, fish prices spiked up dramatically, and Gulf Coast fishing waters within up to 88.5 thousand square miles were deemed forbidden zones for fishermen. Restaurants dealt with limited supply of oysters, crab, and shrimp, and British Petroleum went down in history as the villain.
People have to go in the stores, you know, like Winn-Dixie or whatever, to get packs of oysters. They couldn't get it fresh out of the sea, you know, like they usually do. Get it fresh and pop them open. We had to get it already out of the shell and clean them ourselves.
Over the past 6 months, I think it has affected it quite a bit. What we will see in the future, I don't know. You know, I'm not a scientist.
It was extremely damaging to the welfare of the Gulf, the seafood that we get from the Gulf. It left consumers not believing that seafood would ever be safe for a very long time.
But what now? Has the city healed? Has the dust settled? And are we aware of the healing process? According to a letter from the Chemical Hazard Assessment staff of the Office of Food Safety, The level of concern for dioctyl sodium sulfosuccinate, or DOSS, in crab and oysters is 0.5 milligram per gram. The sheet of sampled specimens from the recently opened waters executed by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association reveals that the level found so far is only 4.5 thousandths of a milligram per gram. Currently, the federal waters that are closed to fishing have shrunk to less than 0.5%. A content analysis of 70 Cajun Creole restaurants registered in the New Orleans Yellow Pages shows that the shrimp supply was still at 100%, and 90% of it comes from the Gulf. Around 2/3 of the restaurants still have oysters in stock and on the menu, and most of it is local. And finally, over 3/4 of the restaurants still put crabs on the plate, with 78% supplied locally.
It has hurt us as far as it shut us down for a while. Our seafood, the seafood handle has had no contact with oil whatsoever, but people still fear it, and I don't know why, because there's nothing wrong with it.
The Deepwater Horizon BP oil spill absolutely affected the perception of the Gulf Coast. The Louisiana seafood, all Gulf Coast seafood from Texas to Florida, is probably the most tested seafood in the entire world. It is going through local, state, and federal officials. If you are eating seafood from the Gulf of Mexico, it is 110% safe.
So, the situation is better, isn't it? The worst is over, and New Orleans, to borrow a relevant metaphor, has jumped the shark. So why are people still afraid? And who is responsible for the misperception?
I think with the government and BP, with their feuds trying to handle the situation, things were blown out of proportion in the media. And the media created fear in the public.
You see, I don't like the media. The media's response was typical of the media, always looking for the worst. We had fishermen who said that they were shrimping and they were catching shrimp and there was no issue, and they wanted to show the media that. The media didn't want to see it. The media wanted to see oil. They wanted to see damaged fish. They want the gruesome part of life, and that's unfortunate.
This may not be far from the truth. In a study at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, scholar Brian Wanzink emphasizes that the media usually heightens the food crisis. Out of 378 New York Times articles discussing the oil spill, almost 15% came from New Orleans and other Louisiana territories, such as Houma, Baton Rouge, and Venice. That's more than the articles generated from Washington, D.C. or London. So what now? The city plans its next big move, and just like many times before, shakes hands with Mother Nature, and comes up for air.
There is a house in New Orleans. They call it the Rising Sun. And it's been the ruin of many a poor girl. And me, oh God, I'm one. If I had only listened to what my mama said, I'd be at home today. But being so young and foolish, my Lord, let a gambling lead me astray. Now my mother is a tailor. She sews those new blue jeans. And my sweetheart is a drunkard, Lord. Drinks down